That's what we're talking about. Let's use the earth for healing our souls, healing our minds.
When one introduces feng shui, for those of us who have worked with feng shui practitioners, first of all, there are different factions, if you will, or different cultures of feng shui that do different things. And I would like to establish a frame of reference, or for you to do that with the listeners. What are the different parts of feng shui that are known? There's like compass feng shui, where there's black hat feng shui, there's an integrated synergistic type of feng shui that you're doing. Could you articulate those 3 different types of feng shui? Because it's not all the same, even if the intent is ultimately the same.
Yeah, and they do have similarities where they cross over. But some, like the black hat feng shui, is almost an organic kind of feng shui. And the black hat uses the bagua. And the bagua is an 8-sided form. And on that form are the different aspects of a person's life. They have career, and they have wealth, and they have children and family, and they have all these different aspects of your life. And then we use that almost as a little
template?
Yes, a template to put down over each room or over the house, over the garden, over the land, to guide, so to speak, where to place certain things in the home. And the beauty of that is that it encompasses all of a person's life, because all the aspects of life are in your home and in your space, so that when you feng shui it, you have a kind of organization. And that, I think, is a really beautiful thing, because you know where things go. It's like a guide of, you can put things different places. And then there is the compass school, and the compass school, I think they also use, I'm not a real expert on all the things of the compass, but they actually use the bagua also, but they also use astrology. Is a very big part of the compass school.
I didn't know that.
And they use directionality. See, the bagua uses the bagua, but and although the directions are on that bagua, they don't use the directionality as deeply as the compass people do. And so that gives another perspective. And what these are, if you can think of them, they're like a guideline for the feng shui consultant to use to perceive the person's life and how their life can fit in with the whole cosmos and their home and everything they own. So placement is so much a part of feng shui. Where do you place your objects that you own?
The directionality, specifically.
Yes, in the compass they use direction. Like they have different spaces, like if a person is a different astrological sign, they would put their bed or their door in certain directions. So they use directionality.
But I didn't know that they actually use astrology. What kind of astrology do they use? Is it Chinese astrology?
Yes, they use the Chinese astrology.
Okay, see, for some of us may have not known that.
Yes, and then the other thing is, with astrology in the Shambhala feng shui training, we use astrology also, but we use it from an indigenous point of view.
Which tribe? So is it a certain tribe?
That is from the Seneca Nation that I was taught from the medicine wheel.
Tell us about that, if you
And now
if you don't
the
mind.
medicine wheel is such a wonderful structure. Again, it's a round structure. It's a circular structure, and instead of it's very similar to the bagua, because it has every part of the wheel. There's 12 parts of the wheel, and we'll have a truth. And it's also connected to the month that people were born in. So it is astrologically set up, but they call it Grandmother Twyla, who I studied with. She is an elder in the Seneca Nation, and she is actually living here in Florida now. And she talks about the truths. So we have this 12 sacred truths. So it teaches people as you walk the medicine wheel, it teaches truth. And actually, because I studied with her for many years before I studied with Professor Lin Yun, and when I used to feng shui a house, I used to use the medicine wheel because I knew that really well. And so the medicine wheel, so these are, again, it gave me a structure on which to help to perceive where to place things and help people, bring about a feng shui design that is very personalized and fits them. Sometimes the feng shui design doesn't, it's like the design itself is for the person who lives in that house. However, what happens when you feng shui a house, when a house is feng shuied, the effect of that feng shui design and the way the energy or the air moves through the house and through your gardens, if you have gardens or land outside, all of that can affect your neighborhood.
Now, I know you said this when we originally spoke, and I thought it was very interesting. I would imagine also there are people that may be like an interesting tidbit, but they don't buy it. And I think I want to ask you something before you translate that, which is when you have feng shuied a house and someone walks in there and there is a different feeling at an atmospheric level, there's something that feels different about it. But a lot of people would say, this is etheric mumbo jumbo. It doesn't really change that much. Yes, the air particles change or the atmosphere may change for a while, but this is a little airy-fairy. And why are architects basing, how they build things and builders and engineers, and why do the Chinese make such a big to-do about it, and why are castles built in certain places and cathedrals placed in certain places? There's obviously something very serious about it.
It is very serious. And I feel that because it is that serious, people really need to be trained. It's not that you can just read a book, and certainly reading books is wonderful and gives you that insight, but it really is important to be trained to get the whole picture and understanding. Now, feng shui, perhaps it will help if we look at it in this way. Feng shui has many aspects to it. First of all, it has this form. It has a structure that you know where to place things. It has a guide where to place things. And the other aspects of feng shui is just energy and how the air moves. We know that if the air is stagnant, if we think of a pool, if we were next to a body of water, like a little pond or lagoon that was completely stagnant, that had no life in it, and it was sort of moldy, and it really didn't even smell good, and your house was right next to that, every time you open the windows, the air from that pool would come into your house. And so
I can get that viscerally, and I'm sure, many people listening can get that on a visceral level.
Yes. So now,
on a very practical level.
Yes, and radon, which is pretty well known now, radon is something that kind of energy that comes out of the earth. It's a gas. Radon is a gas that can come into a person's house and make people sick. And that's just one kind of toxicity
can you pick that up?
Your house.
Can you pick that up?
Absolutely. And the Shambhala Feng Shui Institute, when we train people, we train them to know where toxicity is. And some people, like for myself, I'm really good at clearing. Some people aren't as good at clearing, but there's all ways